is draft week, Chiefs Kingdom, and the Kansas City Chiefs rumors are already swirling. As we anticipated, the Kansas City Chiefs are seeming like they want to trade up. But the player that they might want to trade up for, let's just say Chiefs Kingdom might not be happy with. But before we do get into all of that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. Count them, we are 3 days away from the NFL draft. Yes, it is draft week. And as you know, we will be going live Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, covering pick by pick every single team, and of course, focusing in on our own Kansas City Chiefs. So Chiefs Kingdom, please be sure to hit that notification button because you do not want to miss anything. And to stay up to date, please be sure to subscribe. Now, as it is draft week, we already knew it was going to get crazy. This is when the reports come out, when the smoke screens come out. All these rumors will start swirling. And man, it is Monday, and they have been flowing ever since the time has kicked off. And the Kansas City Chiefs have been a part of it. So let's wrap our heads around all of it, because the first report coming out, which shouldn't surprise anyone in Chiefs Kingdom, is that Brett Veach has been calling around trying to field some trade offers into trading up in this draft. We knew that. We knew that was going to be highly likely. The Kansas City Chiefs want to be the star of the show since the draft is in Kansas City, and they want to make that splash. The question is, who for? And the first name, no surprise, is Zay Flowers. They are heavily interested in Zay Flowers, and they would love to trade up for him. And as I said, no surprise, because he was out with Patrick Mahomes and the boys last week, basically catching passes, getting a good workout in. From by any stretch of the imagination, that means it went very well. Also, this could be smokescreen too. They might want another wide receiver, or this could be very, very true, and they love Zay Flowers. I'm leaning towards it could possibly be true, because Zay Flowers is the ideal fit for Coach Reid, Brett Veach, and someone who would fit this offense perfectly. As we mentioned previously on this channel, the dude is elusive. He is a speed threat down the field, but for someone his stature, he knows how to go up and get a football. He is legit one of those weapons that is an offensive weapon where you have to mark where he is on the field, and he will keep defensive coordinators late at night. And I think that is something that Coach Reid may be missing ever since the departure of Tyreek Hill. It may have only been 1 year, but he wants that guy back to where, hey, we got two threats in Travis Kelce, and now you add a Zay Flowers, and then you mold guys like Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. The offense would look like a legitimate threat, and I would just say people need to watch out for Zay Flowers. Honestly, for me, I think if the Kansas City Chiefs want to make a big splash, it is for someone like Zay Flowers. And I mentioned on my Twitter too, if you trade up for someone like Zay Flowers, you're not hoping he falls into the 20s, because you're thinking that's going to be unrealistic he's in that area. Specifically, if you love a guy of his caliber like that. It was also mentioned today that the Detroit Lions are trying to trade back, and the Detroit Lions hold that 18th spot. That may be the sweet spot. You might have to give up a little more than you wanted, but to get to 18 and to get your guy in Zay Flowers, you're basically jumping the wide receiver market before it even starts, because that's around the range that everyone expects Jackson Smith and Jigba to get drafted, and then you just don't know what happens. It could be Njigba, Flowers, Johnston, Addison, and then you just miss out on your guys. We've seen it in the past where once a wide receiver falls off, the domino effect just happens. If the Kansas City Chiefs want Zay Flowers, they may need to jump that curve. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that pans out. But also, Zay Flowers wasn't the only guy mentioned in Al Breer's report. And the other guy kind of got Chiefs Kingdom feeling some sort of way. He mentioned running back out of Alabama, Jahymr Gibbs. Yes, Jahymr Gibbs. And not just taking a running back in the first round, trading up for Jahymr Gibbs. Chiefs Kingdom isn't happy with that whatsoever. And we'll get to my perspective on it. The first thing I want to say is, Chiefs Kingdom, you got to learn to let things go a little bit. I understand. I completely understand. you should not take a running back in the first round. I'm with you. I'm preaching with you on that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to guys like Bijan Robinson and Jahymr Gibbs, they're not just running backs. And yes, they're short. Their lifespan in the NFL is shorter. But at the end of the day, those are two legit playmakers in this league. And they can do it running and also receiving, specifically Gibbs as well. He is a guy that you have to account for no matter where he is on the field. And I'm not surprised that Coach Reed and Brett Veach have fallen in love with a guy like Jahymr Gibbs. And I wouldn't be surprised if they want to trade up. Now, it wouldn't be anything crazy, but I'm saying maybe you trade up from 31 to 25 ahead of the Dallas Cowboys, because that's around the range, and specifically the Cowboys, I can see taking a running back. Even if Bijan Robinson is already off the board, they might really want Gibbs, and that's something you may need to do. And also, focusing on Chiefs Kingdom here a little bit. Yes, we had our woes with CEH. The experiment didn't look like a success. He was a first-round running back as well, and that leaves Chiefs Kingdom scared and never wanting to do it again, and basically saying Brett Veach has learned from his mistakes. I can give you that, but at the end of the day, you cannot compare Jahymr Gibbs to CEH. Those are way two completely different talents of running backs. No discredit to what CEH is, but he isn't the caliber of a Gibbs. And Gibbs literally can be a home run threat from day one. He draws comparisons to the like of a fan favorite of all of ours, Jamal Charles, Alvin Kamara. He's that type of dude where once you get the ball in his hands, you don't know what to do. And I think the thing that really excites me if the Kansas City Chiefs wanted to go this route is you basically have one of the best, if not best, duos in the league with Isaiah Pacheco and then Gibbs for the next 4 to 5 years. You got to think of it in that aspect. And also you got to think along the lines as you do not know what's going to happen with Jerick McKinnon. I would love to have Jerick McKinnon back on this team. He was a huge testament to why the Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions with his 9 touchdowns last year. But at the end of the day, he is an aging running back in this league, and the Kansas City Chiefs might want to jump the curve and get someone with the same comparable traits as McKinnon to a Jahymr Gibbs, maybe even more of a notch that way too. So it shouldn't surprise Chiefs Kingdom because Andy Reid loves his running backs. And yes, he may take one sooner than expected, and it's going to rub Chiefs Kingdom the wrong way. But man, y'all gotta let it go. It's like you got hurt by an ex-girlfriend that never gave you another chance. Yes, CEH did not work, but at the end of the day, just because one didn't work doesn't mean the next man up can't. And I believe Gibbs is very talented to the fact if the Kansas City Chiefs went that route, I would be ecstatic. I would be thrilled. Just from everything I've listed off, I think he gives the Kansas City Chiefs offense that next level, that level that we've been expecting and waiting for when we had Kareem Hunt, when everything was just clicking. Not to say Isaiah Pacheco can't do that, because he most definitely can, but to have 2 running backs like that, oh, that's like scary, scary. We already know how Mahomes and the boys operate. What if you have a running game that legit? And also, think along the lines of this too. If the Chiefs are going to go for someone like Gibbs, best believe Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, JSN are already off the board. That means there's probably not a wide receiver talent that they believe can be a day one contributor, so they might have to find an offensive weapon at a different position, whether it be tight end, whether it be running back. They are going to look for these guys to help, I almost said affect, but help, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not affect. Basically help, oh my goodness, we're going to struggle on one word, but we're just going to get past that. But help inject new life to the offense to where it can take it to the next level, and then they are one of the best offenses, if not top offenses in the league. And I know, I say that like they aren't, but they are. But you can always increase workflow and production on this offense. One thing the Kansas City Chiefs struggled mightily last year, as I mentioned previously, is short yard situations. If you have a top 5 running back in this league, that can eliminate some of those woes. And again, it sounds like I'm discrediting Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not. I'm never going to discredit Isaiah Pacheco. He is one of my favorite players on the team, but If you have 2 elite running backs, I think that bodes well for your offense. And I think it would be exciting to see. And I think it would be new life. We all expect Andy Reid to have a high-powered offense, but we expect it to be over the top, these explosive plays. But as I mentioned, Coach Reid is always re-innovating this team. If it's adding another running back, it could catch everyone off guard and keep them on their toes. And that's how Kansas City Chiefs offense always stays on top. But with that too, there were 2 other names that the Kansas City Chiefs are very interested in, and these were mostly if they stayed at pick 31. We're going to focus on the defensive side of the ball because we've been talking offensive heavy already throughout this video. But they're focusing on defensive tackle out of Michigan, Mazi Smith. I swear, I sound like a broken record, and I mentioned it plenty times on this channel. Chiefs Kingdom, I know you guys want your pass rushers, but to me, and it looks like to the organization, defensive tackle is a huge hole on this team. As I mentioned, they do not have anyone under contract after the 2023 season. Yes, we expect Chris Jones to be re-signed, but after that, you do not know what's going to happen. So you need to add depth. And also, you need to add a partner with Chris Jones. And I feel like Mazi Smith would be amazing on that interior line. And then you already got George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana. And then you guys should always anticipate when it comes training camp time, July, August, that could be the lights of bringing a Frank Clark back, a Carlos Dunlap. That's when Brett Veach works his best. He's going to bring a veteran pass rusher in, and this D-line is going to be legit. We worry about pass rushers, but the crazy part is, what? The Kansas City Chiefs were second in the league in sacks last year? I don't think there's too much to be concerned about. They're going to shore up this line, and I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted defensive tackle, specifically if they stayed at pick 31, and I would love if they drafted Mazi Smith. Now, let's get back on the offensive side of the ball because we know when it comes to Andy Reid, we love our explosive playmakers, and that was mentioned with Tennessee wide receiver Jalin Hyatt as he has caught the eyes of the Chiefs organization. Y'all know how I feel about Jalin Hyatt, but I keep watching more and more tape, and he is growing on me a little bit. I just do not know how I'd feel about a first-round pick in that essence, but hey, if he's on this team, I believe Patrick Mahomes and Coach Reid can bring the best out of him. I know he is an explosive player waiting to happen. Every time he touches the ball, it can be a touchdown. And also, I've seen some areas where he is actually a better route runner than what was projected, and that actually surprised me a little bit, and I saw it on tape a little bit more. It's just, I don't want him to be a one-trick pony, because if you are, that limits your ability on the field. I want an all-around receiver that can do anything on the field, and that's what was pushing me away from Hyatt. But if he can mold into that all-type receiver, you got the length, you got the speed, and you could be a dynamic weapon in this league, specifically under Andy Reid's offense. So I wouldn't be too upset with it, but also I want to mention in this factor, and we're going to go back to Jahymr Gibbs because it's something I just feel like I need to get off my chest. Chiefs Kingdom is so in love with Quentin Johnston, but I'm in the position to where if Jahymr Gibbs was on the board and Quentin Johnston was on the board, I wouldn't be opposed to taking Jahymr Gibbs over Quentin Johnston. As crazy as that might sound, I feel like Jahymr Gibbs is a better playmaker and a better week one talent that can produce for you right away than Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston, you do not know what you're going to get. Yes, he is a big body. He looks like a physical receiver. But at the end of the day, you do not know what type of receiver you're going to get. With Jahymr Gibbs, you know what type of running back you're going to get. And you know he is a threat to make a play anytime he touches the ball. Quentin Johnston, he can catch the ball, and then he can't. His hands are very questionable to me. People say he's a better route runner. I don't know. I haven't really seen it. The only thing I really like about Quentin Johnston is I see why they say he's athletic, because he's got this good twitch, this good spin move, and he does have those, he's very nimble for his size, which is a great trait to have. And I don't want to sound like I'm basically trying to push away Johnston because if the Chiefs draft him. I would be happy. But there's a lot more playmakers that I'd rather have than Johnston, and Jahymr Gibbs is one of them. But speaking on the Johnston fact too, we're going to close this video off with Travis Kelce talking a little bit about Johnston and Zay Flowers and how they were training last week with everyone on the team. And Kelsey was pretty excited. He seemed like if you put either one of these two guys in, they would be a great explosion for this offense, and they would contribute right away. And it's all nice to hear, and I specifically believe it in Zay Flowers. I believe Zay Flowers can be an elite wide receiver in this league with Patrick Mahomes, top 10 wide receiver. That's how high his ceiling is for me. And I'm in a sense that I believe Quentin Johnston can too. It's just I'm more scared. I think the floor is much more lower than Zay Flowers, but the ceiling can be just as high. And that's what's scary when you know that someone's floor can be lower. You might not want to stick your toes in the water, but that's why I'm just talking behind the camera and I'm not making the big calls like Brett Veach. But with that, Chiefs Kingdom, I am closing this video off. Yes, it is draft week. You already hear all the rumors are going crazy. You let me know how you feel about all of these rumors. You let me know how you feel if the Kansas City Chiefs were to trade up and select a guy like Jahymr Gibbs. With that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you did like this video, please give me that big thumbs up. Y'all take care. Peace.